We mentioned some of your books, maybe in the order in which they've appeared in English. You have a book on methodology, the method of the Austrian School of Economics, and then you had Theory of Socialism and Capitalism, which is still being used as probably the leading comparative economic systems text within the Austrian world. And then after that, Democracy, the God That Failed was probably your most popular book. And then Economics and Ethics of Private Property, which is your most theoretical treatise. Am I leaving anything out in English?
Yeah, then I've edited the Myth of National Defense.
And then you've had a Festschrift in your honor, which is a wonderful book put together by Stefan Kinsella.
Yeah,
and
very
Peter
happy.
Holsby. Yeah, that's a really fun book. Now, how many languages has your writings been translated into?
I think that 25 plus languages.
What would you say is your most widely distributed book, most widely read book?
I think that Democracy is a God That Failed is the most widely distributed book. But in recent years, the Theory of Socialism and Capitalism has gotten several translations. I think a Romanian translation came out. Mises Brazil has published that book also in Portuguese translation. They also published the Economic Science and the Austrian Method.
That's the name of the book, yeah. Which was actually, in fact, a transcription of a series of speeches.
Right.
Yeah.
I think one article was added to it, but initially it was my first lectures that I gave in the United States, the first Mises University that we held at Stanford.
Yeah. And your book, Democracy, was published by Transaction, but we've published your Economics and Ethics book. But
I regret in a way that the book was published by a commercial publisher. You have no control over it. They have even prevented some translations of the book to come out because they charged too high prices. I mean, the book has been translated into 6 or 7 languages also, but I get constantly complaints. I cannot download it, and
it's not available free online.
It is, but at the time, the possibilities that exist nowadays simply did not exist. I mean, many of these things have just changed in recent years.
Yeah, it's easy to look back and say, "Oh, well, that was a mistake. We should have done it ourselves." But
it was.
Who knew at that time?
I mean, looking back, I would say that was a big mistake that I had done it. At the time, I was happy that a reputable publisher like Transaction.
It meant a lot at the time. I should say about your Theory of Socialism and Capitalism, it's not just a comparative economics text. You have in there the essence of your property rights theory, which I don't think we need to say anything more about this, but I would just encourage everybody to go and read that and understand with great precision what you're saying, because whatever you say it very carefully. And to my mind, you really might be the first thinker, which is a remarkable thing to say, who laid out such a coherent view of what constitutes property that it makes it possible to so clearly delineate what is and what isn't. And no property rights theory before yours really was as thorough, and it has a special application to the area of intellectual property. So, I mean, the worldview of Hans-Hermann Hoppe has a profound explanatory power in the world of digital media, for example.
Yeah, the book has also a German predecessor. Part of the previous German book was called Eigentum, Anarchie und Staat. I incorporated into that, but I have also certain things in that German book that I think are even better than in that Theory of Socialism and Capitalism. Sometimes you look back at your own things, you are just amazed that you did good things also when you were young.
Yeah. Well, I've read the book probably 3 or 4 times, and the first time you read it, you think, well, he points out that socialism is impoverishing, whereas capitalism is good. You do a lot more than that. There's a lot of theory in that book, and you have to really read it several times in order to fully appreciate just what a substantive contribution that book really is.